Sicily verse. Today I'm going to be reviewing After the Rain, the comic book. This is an adaptation of a short story by Nnedi Okorafor, which appeared in her short story anthology Kabu Kabu. And this adaptation was created by John Jennings, and the artwork is by David Beame. I received an advanced reader's copy through NetGalley in exchange for a fair and honest review. Thank you to the publishers for that. All opinions are my own. After the Rain is about a woman, Chioma. She lives in the US and she goes back to Nigeria to visit her family. And while in Nigeria, she experiences a haunting of sorts. There's something not right in this town, and everyone seems to be in on it except for her. And so it's about her finding out what's going on and like all these weird things that she's experiencing. I'm going to use a little bit of comics like terminology, and so I think that I should explain some of those words I'm going to be using first of all. So I'm using this copy of Power and Magic just to demonstrate some of the things I'm talking about. For example, you probably know what a panel is. The panel is like this box that the scene is drawn in, but you might not know what the space in between each box is called. So these spaces between each of the panels, those are called gutters. And for reference, where there is a scene on a page and it takes up the whole page, that's called a full page spread. Just there's some words I'm going to be using in this review. I don't think it's really general knowledge, and so I didn't want to confuse anyone. I really enjoyed this comic. First of all, Beame's artwork is fantastic. This comic just looked amazing. A lot of comics will have the panels sort of in an orderly grid, and Beame doesn't really do that. I don't know if there's like any page actually in here that had that setup. A lot of the times, the panels kind of are collaged, or they sort of drip and fall across the page in a way that mirrors Chioma's chaotic state of mind. And there were very rarely like blank gutters. There are a lot of motifs throughout the comic. There are jungle vines, there are skulls, there are lizards that sort of show up in the backgrounds and in the gutters throughout. And the way that Beame lays the panels on top of the background, it almost looks like a spooky craft store bouquet. And there's something about the lizards that really reminded me of a Jaime Hernandez comic. I'm blanking on the name, but it had a rooster in it, and like the rooster's kind of creepy and it keeps showing up throughout the comic, and there's sort of a similar thing in here going on with the lizards. And Beame's also very creative in how he arranges the panels on the page. So when Chioma's feeling kind of claustrophobic, she feels like she's being pursued by these unknown dark forces, the panels kind of get closer together. There's more dark, malevolent things in the gutter spaces around, so that the reader is experiencing the same sense of being pursued and being hunted and observed as Chioma. There's a lot of full page spreads in the comic, which are just beautiful to look at. We get to see a lot of the town, we get to see a lot of the forest, and you really have the sense of like the bustling vibrancy of the life in this town, and also the sense of like wildness and like variety of plants and animals in the forest. The build up to Chioma's big supernatural encounter was superb, and like when we finally get the reveal of what has been causing everything, it's great. The detailing is amazing. It was one of my favorite images in the comic. That said, I haven't read the original short story, so I don't know what changes, if any, were made in this adaptation. The ending for me felt a little anticlimactic. We learned some really interesting things about this force that has been pursuing Chioma, but also it felt like Okorafor was taking a lot of effort to make things feel kind of like full circle and meaningful, but there were some areas where I sort of still didn't understand why something had happened, or like the reason why something had happened felt a little flat to me. And I think that was probably part of staying true to the story from which this was adapted. I also wondered if Jennings could have done more to make use of the comic format. Towards the second half of the story, there's a lot of narration bubbles. There's a lot of Chioma, the narrator, telling us things. And I wondered if some of that could have been dialed back and the illustrations could have been better used to give us that information and that emotion. But on the whole, I really enjoyed this comic. I definitely recommend checking it out. The publication date for this is January 5th. And this was published through the Megascope imprint, which I think is a new comics imprint. So I'm excited to see what else they'll do. I think they're definitely worth checking out. I think this story is definitely worth checking out. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. It's a good way to stay up to date with me and my bookish activities. I'm curious, have you read the short story that this is based off of? Do you think you'll be checking this out? What's your experience with comic adaptations been like? I know Jennings has done a lot recently. He's done several of Octavia E. Butler's stuff, I know. So thank you for watching. Have a good one. Goodbye.